What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Producing in a Pandemic, where we talk about tools and resources for artists and creatives. I'm your host, William Thompson. And for today's episode, I'm so excited to talk about some free DAWs or DAWs. Again, free DAWs, DAWs. If you're unfamiliar with what a DAW is, what a DAW is, a DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation. So basically, those are programs like Logic, Pro Tools, Reason, Mixcraft, Studio One, Ableton Live. These are some examples of common and very popular DAWs or DAWs that are used by producers and artists all over the world. Basically, what it does is it serves as the canvas for your song. Basically, that's what you can think of it as. It is the canvas for your song, particularly for your track. And if you're doing things like multi-track recording, if you are someone that works with MIDI and you are utilizing a lot of virtual instruments, these DAWs, these DAWs are what you can use to capture your ideas. Many of them come with their own instrument libraries, so that you can utilize those libraries. They also come with resources and tools for things like editing, mixing, mastering. So, those all come in handy. And oftentimes, if you are working with an engineer, when you're recording into some type of DAW. If you go to a studio and you're paying money, you are recording into the studio engineer's DAW. And they are using that to organize. They'll use it, to take multiple takes. If they want to record multiple people at one time, they have what's called multi-track recording, and you can utilize that as well. But this is the way that recording is done. And it can, like I said, sometimes it can be expensive. I've said this before. There is a cost that typically is incurred with music, and it's required, that you have to invest in yourself in some way, shape, or form. But I have lucked out. I found some free DAWs, y'all. I found some free DAWs, and I'm so excited to talk about these different DAWs with you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first DAW that we're going to talk about is one of my personal favorite. Most people, if you are Team iPhone, then you are familiar with this one. It is GarageBand. All right, GarageBand has been out there for years. It was one of the first DAWs that I heard about, even before hearing about Pro Tools and Logic, which are definitely, industry standards. Before I heard about those, I was hearing about GarageBand. And a lot of my friends, especially, were Team iPhone. I was Team Virgin Mobile for a while. But when I finally got my iPhone, I was in college when I finally, transitioned from Android to Apple. And that was one of the main reasons that I transitioned, was because I wanted to see what is the big deal with GarageBand. Is this something that I can use to actually, produce? And lo and behold, I have made full tracks with GarageBand, and while GarageBand doesn't have all of the bells and whistles that Logic does, it is a great way to kind of dip your toes into production, into the world of music production. So even if you're not a producer or even an aspiring producer, there's some people that are like, I just want to perform, I just want to, sing, and I'll hire someone else to, to write the music, or hire someone else to make the track. And that's fine. That's up to you. Whatever your lane is, it's important to know it so that you can, maximize it. But even if you're, the artist that is looking to contract other musicians or work with a producer on either a single song or an entire project, GarageBand is a great way to organize your thoughts. For me, it is a lot easier and a lot better than using your voice notes. The voice notes, I've used those before for capturing a quick idea, but there have been times where I actually had a full idea in terms of melodies, harmonies, and I wanted to be able to capture that. So I would open up GarageBand. I'd plug in some headphones, and I would just go and I would, sing line by line what I was hearing. I could use, tempo, and I can, figure out what time signature I want it to be in, what key I want it to be in, so that when you're sending it off to a producer, you're not just, sending them some voice note that you recorded while you were halfway out of bed, but you can actually send them something that has some substance and has some real idea of what you're looking for. So, definitely consider looking at GarageBand. I definitely recommend it if you are an Apple user. If you're an Apple user, and that includes iPhones, iPads, as well as Mac, GarageBand is available for free. For most of your devices, it'll actually already come already preloaded on there, which is great. You don't have to download it. You don't have to search for it. You could just go ahead and open up the app and begin working on it as soon as you get your device. So that's one of the great things I love about it. Again, it is not as extensive as Logic, but I've always called it basically Logic Junior. That is the best way that you could think about it. It is a light version of Logic. So the interface, the layout looks exactly the same, minus, again, some of the tools that are either enhanced or additional in Logic, as well as Logic has a bigger instrument library. But one other feature of GarageBand that I also want to share with you that was just, again, something I was not expecting, but it was super helpful, super handy. If you have GarageBand on your MacBook, especially if you have a Mac, Mac Mini, iMac, whatever it may be, if you have Mac operating system and you create a file on your Mac with GarageBand, one of the things that you can do is you have the option, if you later get Logic, you can open those GarageBand files in Logic and it'll convert it to a Logic project. So you'll have access to Logic's full instrument library, Apple loops, plugins and effects. You'll have access to all of those resources from your GarageBand project. You don't have to, create a new project. You don't have to copy and paste MIDI or audio files. You can just open the project up in Logic. It works the same way if you have, files from your mobile phone. If you have files from your iOS device, whether it's, iPad or iPhone, or even you still got the iPod Touch. If you are creating files on there and then send them to your Mac, you can open those files in Logic, which is a great way to get, like I said, graduate from one level to the other and to not lose any progress that you've made. It's a great way to do that. So that's GarageBand for you. Go ahead, check it out, Apple users. The next DAW that we're going to look at is called Cakewalk. So Cakewalk is a free DAW. It's not one that I've used personally. And the reason that I haven't used it is because Cakewalk is actually a Windows exclusive DAW. I know, right? We like GarageBand is Mac, Cakewalk is Windows. So if you are someone that doesn't have, a MacBook and doesn't want to necessarily pay for a MacBook, I understand that some of these MacBooks can be expensive. Some of these iMacs can be expensive, and it can be cheaper to go with a Windows machine at times. So if you're someone who, you're Windows through and through, or you already have a Windows computer, you can certainly go ahead and download this program called Cakewalk. Cakewalk is owned by a company called BandLab, and we're going to be discussing them a little later because they have an online DAW as well. But Cakewalk is basically, uh, the it's a free DAW that you can use, and it has unlimited tracks and things like that. So you can have a full production suite with this Cakewalk program. And again, like I said, I'm not personally familiar with it, but I think if based on reviews that I've seen, if you are a Windows user and you're looking to get started, you're looking to dip your toe or even dive into production, but you may not, have all of the resources. You may not want to spend $400+ on Pro Tools or on one of these other popular programs like Ableton Live or Reason or Mixcraft, or Fruity Loops. These are all popular DAWs that a lot of people use. But if you're not ready to, make that financial investment, Cakewalk is a great option. It's something you can download to your computer. So, you can locally save anything to your hard drive if you want to. That also means that if you want to, put it on a USB or on an external hard drive, you could do that as well. So that's great to be able to have that option for Windows users. All right. So that's Cakewalk for you. Again, Cakewalk by BandLab. Go ahead and check that out, Windows users. Our next DAW that we're going to discuss is called Soundtrap. All right. Again, it's called Soundtrap. Soundtrap is actually supported by Spotify. So there are a lot of resources that are available, and there is a free version of Soundtrap. I have used the paid version. Right now I'm using the free version of it. The free version of it's okay. It's not the best, but it's okay. And like I said, if you're looking to just get started and dip your toes into the world of music production, it's a great option to look at because you have their own sound library. There are some basic effects that you can use and things like that. And one of the great things about Soundtrap, as well as the next DAW that we're going to be talking about, is the collaboration aspect of it. The fact that you are able to add people to your project, or as they define it, it's called your studio. So there are some artists that I've worked with in terms of things like development and songwriting and other things to help them flesh out ideas. And what I was able to do was create a Soundtrap project in studio, and I invited them to it. I would set the tempo, I would set the key, and I would maybe give, like a small intro or some reference point for the key so that they could sing. And they would then sing, what they were hearing, whatever their lyrics were, they would sing it. Then I would get a notification that they've recorded it in Soundtrap. I'm able to go in on my end and I can record other parts. I can either use my personal libraries and record the audio to go along with them, or I can record directly within Soundtrap, which is great. You have the MIDI capabilities and functionality, so I can have my MIDI keyboard and I can use the sounds they have in there. Or, like I said, I can even download the files and I can work with those files in my own personal DAW and then upload those files or upload an MP3 of what I was hearing to Soundtrap so that they can hear it and we can then have that back and forth and that exchange and that collaboration, which is absolutely great. It's not easy, and it can be very challenging to try and do production on your own. And like I said, this pandemic has made it challenging. I know when it first hit, I was like, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I went about maybe 6 weeks without a haircut. It was like I was looking like the wolf man out here. And I was like, I don't care. I'm not trying to get sick. I'm not taking any risk. I'm not going outside unless I need to. Groceries delivered, lunch delivered, Amazon, all of it. I was doing it as much as I could do, hands free, no contact. I was doing all of that, and it's still around. This pandemic is still here. That's why this podcast exists. So we can talk about how we can produce while we're in a pandemic. And one of the best ways to do it is through collaboration. Programs and websites like Soundtrap make that easy because you can invite people, invite producers, musicians, other artists into your studio. They can listen, they can provide feedback. If they wanted to record something in addition to what was already given, they could do so. And then you have that back and forth and that exchange of ideas until you really get the track that you're looking for, which I think is absolutely great. I think that's absolutely great. All right, so that's Soundtrap for you. The last DAW that we're going to talk about is BandLab. Now, BandLab is very similar to Soundtrap in the fact that it is a website. As I said earlier, BandLab is the company that owns Cakewalk. So they're really good when it comes to making DAWs. And I've taken a look at the BandLab studio. I think it's pretty good. Their sound library isn't anything to write home about. But again, if you're trying to dip your toes into the world of production, it's a great way to do so. And again, you have the collaborative aspect of it. You can invite people, to listen to what you've created, and they can provide feedback that you can, kind of have that back and forth and that exchange about, which is absolutely great. There is one feature of BandLab that I absolutely love that I think sets it apart from every other DAW that I'm aware of. And the fact is that BandLab has a free mastering feature. I'm going to say that again. BandLab has a free, F-R-E-E, free 99 mastering feature. I think you can master any track up to 15 minutes long, up to 15 minutes in length. You can master any track for free, which is great. And I know there are some people that you have your thoughts about traditional mastering with a mastering engineer versus online mastering. And eventually I hope to be able to talk about the difference between the two. But again, for someone who's just getting started into production, someone who's just getting started as an artist, I have, even used, the mastering service to master my covers, to give it that boost and that pop that is needed, which is absolutely great. You can upload your file really easily, and, they have different mastering kind of presets that you can use to make sure that your song has the right type of dynamic build that it needs, that it's giving it the oomph, that extra punch that it needs to be able to sound good wherever you're listening to it. So whether you're listening to it in your car, in the shower, if you're listening to it on your iPad, on your iPod, on your iPhone, if you're listening to it on a computer, wherever you're listening to it, the listening quality will not suffer, because it has been mastered, which is great. Like I said, if you're an artist, even if you are doing, covers, even if you're not doing your own original music yet, you could utilize this mastering service and this mastering feature to get, really get a better quality experience and give a better quality experience, listening experience for those that are going to be checking out your music. So definitely take a look at BandLab. So again, I do want to quickly just go over what we discussed today. The first DAW we talked about was GarageBand. GarageBand again is exclusive to Apple users, iOS and macOS. So GarageBand is number one. Number two is Cakewalk. Cakewalk is for my Windows fam. I know y'all haven't seen the light yet, so they decided to toss y'all a bone, and you've got Cakewalk, the Windows exclusive DAW. Then you have Soundtrap. Soundtrap is an online DAW, and they provide, tools for collaboration. They also have, things like Loops by Splice, and, their sound library, which can be expanded if you decide to pay for their service. But right now, it's absolutely free. If you go ahead and get started, you can join, use the basic version, and move forward with that. The last DAW is BandLab. BandLab, creators of Cakewalk. So they own Cakewalk, and they've allowed it to be available for Windows users. But for people that kind of want the Cakewalk experience and the Cakewalk layout and platform, they're able to do that and get that with BandLab's online DAW. Like I said, they have a online virtual library. They have their own loops that you can use. They have what are called one-shots for sampling. You can utilize that. That's available as well within their library. And then the best feature of all, in my opinion, is their feature for mastering. So, definitely take a look at all those resources. Figure out what's best for you. And if you want to let me know, you can go ahead and leave a comment and, let me know what your favorite DAW was. Let me know which one works best for you. And if you have any other suggestions in regards to other free DAWs, please go ahead, leave them in the comments. Let's go ahead and get the conversation going, because we want to make sure that as artists and as creatives, that we're working with each other and that we're providing each other with the tools and resources that we need in order to move forward and to create a high quality music experience. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Producing in a Pandemic. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I look forward to talking with you all again real soon. Until then, keep creating.